Hello everyone, this is Kelly Jones for LTEC 5610. This is my project for t-test for statistical analysis for Module 3. So what is a t-test? A t-test is a statistical test used to compare the means of two groups, often in hypothesis testing. It determines whether a process of treatment actually has an effect on a population or whether the two groups differ from each other. For the purpose of my project, I will define t-tests for dependent samples, explain when to use it, and provide a detailed example. T-test for dependent samples is a test that indicates that a single group of same subjects is being studied under two conditions, such as before and after an experiment. I like to think of benchmark testing in education, where students are tested before an educational process takes place and then again afterward. When would you use a t-test for dependent samples? Well, let's find out. First, you would use a t-test for dependent samples when examining differences between groups of one or more variables. Next, you would use this type of test when the same participants are being tested more than once. Finally, you would use t-tests for dependent samples when dealing with two groups, but not three. The real-world example I'm using is a comparative study of the effectiveness of e-learning technologies used in the blended learning approach by Felicissimo v. Wenceslao Jr., which occurred in 2015. The researcher wanted to know, is there a difference between the effectiveness of e-learning technologies used in blended learning and teaching advanced programming to college students? For the purpose of the experiment, a college advanced programming class was broken into two groups, e-learning group 1 and e-learning group 2. The information in the table are the results of the survey of the most commonly used e-learning tools used by faculty members. The four categories of consideration were hardware technologies, software technologies, communication technologies, and content of materials. Each category contained a subcategory with 7 items that were ranked from most used to least used, with 1 being used the most and 7 being used the least. The figure at the top, figure 2, contains the graphic results of the comparison of the pre-test and post-test between e-learning group 1 and e-learning group 2. The graph indicates a significant change in scores between the two groups, both pre and post-test. The table at the bottom, Table 2, shows the detailed results of the t-test for dependent samples. As you can see, e-learning group 2 had a mean of negative 1.86, while e-learning group 1 had a mean of negative 10.35, with the level of significance set at 0.5. The results of the t-test indicated that there was an improvement of scores from both groups. The e-learning group 1 utilized a combination of desk and laptop computers with the materials that could be retrieved via email, while e-learning group 2 used a combination of multimedia projector, flash drive, or CD-ROM, and PDF course materials which could be saved to the student's flash drive, which could later be viewed on the student's laptop or printed. According to the final results, all students showed improvement in retention of information. However, e-learning group 2 obtained a higher mean than e-learning group 1, possibly due to factors such as e-learning group 2 having a greater level of comprehension of the information because the use of the projector allowed for better viewing of the material. Additionally, students in e-learning group 1 were shown to not have downloaded the material a week prior as advised by their course professor. Although this was a very basic study, I found it interesting that you could find out information using statistics in terms of how well students retained and learned information just by what was used in the classroom to deliver that information. Here are my references for the project, which was, of course, our textbook, and then secondly, the study done by Mr. Wenceslao. Thanks for your time. I look forward to your feedback.